What's going on, workforce? Brian here, and today we're doing our Samurai level 70 controller guide. That's right, you guys voted for Samurai, and now it's time to do it. So in this guide, we're going to cover my controller layout, any macros that I might be using, any HUD layout settings that I might point out to you. Then we're going to go over just general settings with the controller, targeting, tips and tricks, things like that. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I am a longtime lover of the controller. I wish more games supported it, especially in the MMO communities. But without going into that rant, let's jump into my controller layout. The number one question that's usually asked on previous videos is, what is up with this hotbar right here? And this happens to be hotbar 3, and I'll show you guys that in the HUD layout section. What hotbar 3 does is it communicates cooldowns to me. As a player, I want to be able to remind myself that I have skills that are on cooldown in case I happen to be hiding them behind various other hotbars themselves. The game supports the double cross hotbar, which you can see me tapping left and right, and we'll cover that more into detail in a bit, as well as the expanded cross hotbar by holding down either the left trigger and the right trigger together, or the right trigger and the left trigger. You can see that obviously some of these abilities are hidden behind these, and I want a big button to point them out to me as well. Okay, so we're going to start with there, and then we're going to go to left, to the right, and that's pretty much the flow of things. Now, also, I am hyper dyslexic, so English is not my first language, is my joke, so I apologize for any mispronunciations of skills here. I say that because this is a very Japanese heavily influenced job, and I don't want to disrespect anybody who speaks Japanese and or understands the pronunciation of these in case I happen to get them incorrect. So we have Hagurke right out the gate. Sprint, I got that one. Hisanu Yaten. Ageta, Hisanu Guren, Merciful Eyes, Bloodbath, Second Wind, Invigorate, and Megeko Sensei. Now, what's important is that obviously Bloodbath, Second Wind, Invigorate, those are cross-roll skills. Obviously, in a couple of months, we'll be getting all the cross-roll skills, but I wanted to make sure that I communicate these because I hide these behind the expanded cross hotbar. Putting any of these abilities is really up to you in whatever order. Now, if you happen to be on a PS4 and don't have a keyboard and mouse, you can always press down the left bumper or L1 and press the right stick as a click a button, and it'll enable the virtual mouse. Here you can be able to click and right click or left click. So left trigger acts as a left click, right trigger acts as a right click, and this will allow you to drag and drop icons on your screen. This isn't the most efficient or effective, but it does get you what you need. So if you're having trouble trying to figure out how to drag and drop items on the screen, you can always do that as well. Okay, so we covered the top hotbar. Let's go into our double cross hotbar left. Here I have Merciful Eyes, Sengeken, and Meditate. I don't use these abilities often, but let's say I just go ahead and use Meditate. One of the abilities, one of the settings you can do with the double cross hotbar is actually set it to return to the left trigger or the right trigger upon use. So here my character is just meditating, and it automatically refocuses me where I need it to. I'm going to cancel out of Meditate. Okay, on the left-hand side, we got a couple of the skills here. So Third Eye, Shinsen, Yuten, Guren, Mangetsu, Oka, and then I have In and Out, we'll cover that macro here in a second, and Fuga. So if you think of this, this is kind of my wheel of AoEs, and then I have this here because I want to be able to jump in and out as needed. And then I have these instabilities that live off my Kenki gauge right here. So this is a lot of damage. I'm not actively always doing this unless I'm doing an AoE rotation. Third Eye obviously helping grant additional defensive and enabling Open Eyes for Merciful Eyes or Sengeken right here. So kind of try to keep those grouped together. This ends up being really easy. So if I kind of demonstrate this real quick for you guys on the targeting dummies, you can see that I can easily jump back and forth between my AoE rotation right here. As that bar fills up, I can then easily add in an extra AoE ability, or if I need to do a single target ability, it adds itself really easily right there. Okay, so let's cover our right side. We've got Cotton, Yukeze, Genku, what I call power play, and we'll cover that here in the macro in a second, Genpu, Kasha, Shifu, and Hakase. Now, what this is this, if you look at my Sin gauge right here with the ice, moon, and flower, this correlates to that layout. So this is flower, this is moon, and this is ice. So when you develop the muscle memory to be able to remember what you're looking for, especially since I'm using the simple gauge, this allows me a lot of power to be able to say, oh man, I know I need ice. So where is ice? Well, ice is going to be on the furthest left ability here. Where is moon? It's located right here. Where is flower? It's located right here. So then I can use the proper combo necessary to complete. Now, power play is a macro of Agata and essentially your whatever ability that you fill up for your Sen gauge. So if I go ahead and just click on this, go ahead and finish off with ice. Now you see how that changes. It's going to use my Sen gauge, and then as I lower the hit points and they become available, you'll see that I can go ahead and use that same ability because it is a macro. Okay, so now that it's up, I can actually use that button to do the move as opposed to just using it for its own special slot, allowing me to continue. You can even boost it with this, and that ability doesn't impact the off the global cooldown ability of Agenta. Okay, so now on my right cross hotbar, I've got Hagurke, Sengen, Diversion, and the Ijetsu, which is essentially my power play. So I talked about macros a little bit. Let's go ahead and jump into my macros section here. We're going to jump over into the specific macro itself. So here you could see a very simple using fail through macro. So Giha and then Ijetsu. We're going to use the macro icon for Ijetsu so that I know what ability that it is queuing up itself. But obviously a Giha being very situational, it will fall first. It will be the first ability to be used whenever you're pressing this button. Now feel free to use macros at your own risk. Macros can offer a DPS loss because of the way that nature they're coded, but I just wanted to give that to you as an option. So here's my in and out. I use Yaten and Goten. It's going to prioritize Yaten first, and then it's going to go with Goten. Now, it's going to use that, so it's going to then do the dash back. So if I'm close enough to an enemy, I can go ahead and do my dash. Now that I'm far away, it's not going to have me dash out any further because I can't reach, so it's going to allow me to come and strike back in with a lot of ease. I like this because it puts the same ability, or at least the same natured ability, on one button press. So you're not having to do a lot of work, not having to use two spaces for one. However, I do have it here in case I'm specifically needing to call that one if my macro for some reason is messing up. I have a pretty good ping. My macros typically don't have any issues, but I know people who've reported high pings can have an issue with a macro. So again, use this at your own risk for that most part. Okay, so for the expanded cross hotbar, this is what I set to hotbar to left. Here is where you can see that I access Mangekyou Sensei, my leg sweep, which is my stun. I always put my stun in the same position for every job I play. It's muscle memory. If you play more than one job, don't make it more work for you to enjoy the game or the job itself. If you have various skills that have similar effects or impacts, especially with cross roll, put them in the same spot. You're going to learn where they are, and it's going to end up being a very easy and quick way to get there. Enpai, which is my arranged ability. Here we got Yaten, which I just covered. Merciful Eyes, Bloodbath, Second Wind, and Invigorate. All my self-personal buffs, either for self-healing or restoring TP here if I go AoE crazy. That is one thing about this job, is the amount of AoE. All right, so second up, we've got our HUD layout. Here is a pretty basic layout. It hasn't really changed. It doesn't really change from time to time, but I do want to point out my Kenki gauge and my Sen gauge. I have these in simplified mode for the Sen gauge, and you can see my Kenki gauge as it fills up as well, also in simplified mode. You can change your settings to simplified through the UI by clicking on that nice little button, and then you can hit save. You can manage any settings for that matter there. I place them right over here on hotbar, right on top of hotbar 3, which is here. That's where you would set it, and you would turn that on itself. Then I have my status in enfeeblements and in buffs listed over here as well, enhancements and enfeeblements, and then I put other status of buffs up here that aren't less important. So I can kind of see all this as part of my kill wheel, target bar, various progress bars, focus target bar, and my enemy list over here. This serves me pretty much for the tanking, the healing, and the DPSing that I do, but you can always make this your own, and you can have multiple HUD layouts as well and easily switch between them as needed. It's a very strong system. I highly encourage you to check it out and make it your own. Don't feel like you have to use mine. Find something that works really well for you in that regards. All right, so Lee talked about the most important thing, obviously targeting. Under control settings, under your filters, targeting is where this is going to be a game changer, especially if you're on a controller player. Up, down, left, right on your D-pad whenever you're holding down L or R are going to serve as actually your action presses. However, if you're not, they're going to serve for targeting. Up and down is going to cycle through you and your party members. So there's no reason to have your party members on a left and right setting. So that means that when you press left and right, when your weapon is sheathed, it's going to focus in on all of these items. When your weapon is drawn, in this case, I have it as only enemies when my weapon's drawn. It's never gonna, if I need to hit party members, I hit up and down. This works great for healers. If I want to target enemies, I hit left and right, and that works great as well. So if I have my weapon drawn, it's not going to target everything. You can see here. It's very handy. I would recommend that you check out and play around with your character configuration and your filters, especially if you're a controller player. If you want extra filters, you can apply those here via custom filtering. And what that does is it allows you to press the left bumper and the corresponding face button to be able to turn on a custom filter itself. Again, guys, this is really powerful. I highly recommend using it. You can see I use custom and enemies. I recommend enemies when weapons drawn, but it's up to you to figure out what works best itself. Finally, let's talk about hotbar settings. Hotbar settings is where you can control the look and feel of all your hotbars. You have a lot of settings here. I'm not going to cover them all because this is a controller guide for Samurai. But sharing is an important thing that I want to point out. If it's shared, that means all jobs have it. If it's not shared, that means only the specific job has it. So you can see I have 6 hotbars dedicated to the specific job, and I have 2 hotbars that are shared, 7 and 8. This is where I put things like limit break. This is where I put things like mounts. You can see that I have it right here. This is my expanded cross hotbar. So sprint, mounts, my book, my limit break, any kind of targeting macros that I need. And that's across all jobs. Again, muscle memory, keep it simple, keep it in the same place, and you're going to be good to go. So that's sharing. Now cross hotbars though, here is where I live and hold. I love the hold mode. You can play around with these other modes and see if something works more comfortable for you. Toggle and mixed are very interesting, but I also have always display the cross hotbar and return to the cross hotbar after W cross hotbar input. This is what allowed me to use that meditate and have it refocus back on that ability itself. Under custom is where you set your expanding cross hotbar. So you can see that for LT-RT, I'm using cross hotbar to left, which is job specific. Now right trigger and then left trigger is 7 right, which is specific for all jobs, which is shared. Same thing for the W cross hotbar. You set which hotbar is actually pushing from. In this case, 3 left and 3 right, which are job specific. And then you can also enable custom filtering and settings change. So whenever your weapon is sheathed, you can say, I'm going to filter between hotbar 1, 7, and 8. And then as well as I can say when it's drawn, I only want my character to stick on 1. You can right bumper to tab through your various sets of hotbars as a controller player, but it can get really busy and hectic, especially in the heat of battle, and you don't want to have to be factoring that in as well. And this is also enabled for PvP as well, but it's not necessarily needed as much with the reduction of skills on that side. Guys, this is my controller hotbar and layout guide for Samurai. Thank you so much for voting for it. This job is a ton of fun to play. I love playing it very, very much. And so I'm very happy with being able to bring this to you guys. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, but also at the same time, if you have any feedback, if you like to turn, or if you have a different layout that works better for you, please feel free to share. The idea is that this is a community focused aspect. We want to help each other get better and enjoy the game more comfortably with the controller. Square Enix gives us a fantastic controller support for both PlayStation and on PC. So I want to help encourage anybody who is who is more of a controller user like myself, that they can play any job that this game has to offer comfortably and hopefully even at the highest tier that the game has to offer. Anyway, my name's Brian for Work To Game. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope to see you in my next. But until then, I hope you have a fantastic day and take care.
Thanks for watching. YouTube has a pretty cool video waiting for you over here. Our latest vlog is down below. For those of you new, subscribe is over here. And all of our other contact info is just right below me here. Thanks for watching.